Dressed and ready for work, Fuyutsuki told her cat to watch her place while she was out, giving affectionate pats before heading off. Today was her first day at her new job, finally becoming a productive member of society. She didn't feel any different. Ever since her school days, her peers would comment on her stoicness. It always seemed like nothing fazed her. She knew that perhaps she wasn't as emotional as other people. As petals blew past her with a small gust, she wondered why snow was melting in her hand. Finding a strange white-haired man trapped in ice, as stoic as described, she asked if he was alright and if something happened to his legs. He just as casually answered he was feeling nervous, with it being his first day at his new job. But this nervousness was the very reason his legs were frozen, and he, therefore, trapped here. Even so, staring at cherry blossoms always calmed him down. Fuyu couldn't comprehend. She's heard of being too nervous to move, but she's never seen it resulting in someone literally freezing up. She pulled out hot tea to try to warm the ice, but no dice. She wondered just how nervous he was. The two locked eyes, and she offered the tea for him to drink, along with some kombu. This finally got the ice to break, and he would bring up that he was a descendant from a snow woman, so when he got emotional, he produced ice. Fuyu had never met anyone who descended from a yokai before. Since he descended from a snow woman, people often asked if he liked winter. But the seasons when flowers bloomed, and when he met new people, he liked spring too. After getting freed, he gave his thanks and walked away. Fuyu continued her own way, thinking about how her peers said things like nothing ever startled her, and she probably didn't even get crushes. And while she certainly was that way in school, she was amazed, having met someone unlike anyone she's known before. She hoped to see him again. Likewise, he's frozen up from nervousness many times before, but also had never met anyone as kind and gentle as her. Looking for his desk at his workplace, his eyes glimmered, spotting Fuyu. She managed a small smile, looking towards him, and with a small back and forth about coincidences and her looking forward to working with him, the icy blizzard blew around him. Despite his stoic outside, he was flustered and screaming on the inside about this meeting being a freaking miracle. Their coworker Komori entered scene, excited to see the snow. She adorned ears and a tail, something Himuro would comment as soft-looking, and she affirmed it's because she was a descendant of a fox spirit. Next to introduce himself was Saejima, and then everyone made their rounds, where we learned both Fuyu and Saejima were 100% human. And looking at their section chief, Komori wondered if he was a descendant of the great Buddha. Back home that evening, Fuyu fed her cat, expressing her joy in having met so many different kinds of people today. She rewarded Nyaomero with a new scratch post, but he only seemed interested in the bag. While working the next day, Fuyu was suddenly hit by Himoto's blizzard. He had to apologize because he was getting a bit too fired up. Spotting the picture of flowers on his monitor, she had to ask about it. Turns out, he loved flowers, but unfortunately, they'd always freeze over whenever he touched them. In other words, even though he loved flowers, he felt they would never love him back. That night, Fuyu tried thinking of ways to get flowers to Himoto. She came to work with straw mulch the next day to give to him. Supposedly, the mulch was effective at preventing plants from dying of frost. She felt sad seeing both him and the flowers suffering. He was grateful for her, and she took notice of his smile. As she took her leave again, his inside screamed she was so nice. He freaking loved her. He felt he might melt, even if his coworkers froze as a consequence. During lunch, a blizzard stormed up again from him, so Fuyu had to ask what he was looking at. He calmed down, showing a picture of a cat on his phone he was really enjoying. He really liked cats. And again, he gets so excited, he creates ice, so he couldn't touch them. Fuyu then showed him a picture of her cat in a bag, and a freezing gale blew once more. The next day, she brought him some cat whiskers. She sometimes found them on her floor, so she'd been collecting them, being considerate of Himoto since he couldn't touch real cats. She also brought up how cat whiskers were a protective charm, and thought they'd make good things happen for him. She felt a bit embarrassed, with face flushed as she left. And you better believe his mind went crazy thinking about how she wanted him to be happy. His coworkers could hardly believe whiskers were getting him this hyped up. At home that night, he longed to do something nice for Fuyu too. The next day, he gave her the super popular limited edition Chocolat Orange Pistache a la Mode. She had mentioned wanting to try it once, and he got it for her. This is so sweet. With her reminding him it was sold out everywhere, he told her he just got lucky, not wanting to expose the fact he spent a whole week searching for it. She smiled at him and thanked him, knowing how hard he must have tried to find it for her. He thought she was so cute that he ought to be the one thanking her. She then brought up the snowmen he was making were cute too, and he realized he was getting way too happy. He just wanted to pay her back a little, but now felt she outdid him a million times over. The whole office was freezing from his powers. Having coffee later, Komori suggested Fuyu was being particularly nice to him, but Fuyu thought she was just treating him normally. While Himuro would sprinkle tons of snowmen next to Saejima, he just had to say Fuyu was the nicest ever out loud. They'd later find him covered in a snow hut. Apparently, he withdrew into the hut whenever he was feeling down. The section chief explained Himuro lost the document data he spent all day on. He told Himuro he could just turn it in tomorrow, but Himuro insisted on finishing it today. With Fuyu offering to help him, his snow hut crumbled. He told her he'd be fine and continued to work by himself into the late evening, not expecting her to come back with coffee for him. Mouth agape, face redder than it's ever been, he let off an incredible blizzard thinking about how cool she was. He even froze the coffee she got him. It had been a full month since Himuro started working at the company. Sitting by himself, he observed all the things Fuyu bought for him. The mulch that protected his flowers, her cat's whiskers, and the coffee he never drank. He loved being an adult so much, all because he got to work and see her all the time. But this happy moment wouldn't last for long. The next day, his boss announced the new employee workshop location would be in Okinawa. He shook anxiously, knowing something bad was going to happen if he went there. With the upcoming retreat in Okinawa, Himuro felt so anxious, he was trapped in ice again. Fuyu asked if it was about how hot Okinawa was, but Himuro explained it's more of a psychological issue. A South Seas resort, the blue ocean, a white beach. Being in that situation would get him so excited, he'd summon a raging winter storm. Thinking about how he had to go, the ice at his feet grew thicker. He loved to sit on a southern beach, enjoying the quiet sound of the waves. Returning home that evening, Fuyu tried to find a way to help Himuro's dilemma. The next day, she gave him a surf drum, which simulated the sounds of waves at the beach. She hoped he'd use it to become more acclimated to being at the beach, so he wouldn't cause a blizzard. Her face flushed as she told him she'd miss him if he wasn't at the retreat. Of course, Himuro freaked out. There was no freaking way. He couldn't believe she'd do this for him. He loved her and wondered if this was even real life. Fired up, he started practicing for the retreat, leaving his colleagues wondering if he was going to do a performance that night. He continued his training session, doing his best to control his blizzards, and even at the office, he managed to keep at it without causing even a flake of snow to fall, and was eventually ready for the trip. A few days later, the workers took the boss and set off. Fuyu asked Himuro how he was doing, and he replied that he was feeling quite confident. Soon after, they settled into their rooms and attended some lectures. After class, they all went to the beach to cool off. Himuro wasn't a fan of the heat, but as long as he stayed out of the sun, he wouldn't melt. He then thanked Fuyu for the surf drum, because after practicing several nights with it, he could now look at the sea calmly. No way was he going to start any blizzards now. He wondered if this was her first time in Okinawa, but Fuyu explained she had come here once on a school field trip. However, a typhoon made it impossible for her to leave the hotel. So, she was stuck there, and that's why she was really looking forward to this. She brought up the travel guidebook she had made and offered it to Himuro to use. He gladly accepted it, marveling at how much effort she put into this. Although she didn't show it, he could tell that she was really looking forward to this. He got so excited about this trip with her, he ended up causing a cold wind, but quickly calmed himself. Fuyu then showed him a picture of her cat playing with the toy. She of course got a pet sitter to take care of him. Himuro's face was red all over, as she said she loved her cat, trying to mimic his Kansai accent. She felt a little embarrassed, but Himuro thought she was so cute. He loved that side of her. He had to calm down before causing a serious blizzard, otherwise he wouldn't make it to the end of the trip. Himuro consciously stayed quiet, composed, and unobtrusive. Entering a gift shop, he found some Shisa lion figures, and decided to go for the cutest one. Fuyu would also reach for the same. He gladly let her have it, and she decided to help him choose one in exchange. She picked up another cute one, but the only cute thing Himuro saw was her. He would cause snow to start falling in the city, and the tourists thought it was very pretty. Fuyu then commended him for making it memorable for everyone. That night, he wondered if it was okay for a man to be this happy. He'd be woken up by the news, blaring that they'd be seeing drastic rises in temperature today. Himuro feared this would be very bad for him, and he quickly rushed out to a store while covering himself. Getting there, he asked for ice or ice cream. Unfortunately, their freezer had broken down, and the repairman had yet to come. And even worse, there weren't any other shops in the hotel. During breakfast, Saejima informed Fuyu that Himuro had rushed out as he was worried about the heat. Concerned, she started searching for him, then realized she didn't have his contact info. She feared he might have started melting already. A cold wind then blew past her, and she heard Himuro's faint voice calling to her. Fuyu would follow his voice, finding him hidden in a dark corner, and discovered that when he melts, he physically shrinks. Now, he resembled a child version of himself. He wouldn't be able to attend training like this, and the thought of melting any further made him anxious. Fuyu then told him to wait for her, assuring him everything would be fine. She then returned with some ice cream she got from the breakfast buffet. While he licked the ice cream, she stared at him intently, remarking how cute he was with his small size, though it wasn't something an adult man would find flattering. Still, she kindly asked if she could pat his head, and he agreed. She noticed his hair was so sleek and cool. Then suddenly, he returned to his adult form, leaving her a bit flustered. During the training lectures, Fuyu thought about how she was much more nervous around him than usual. Likewise, he was flush, thinking about how she patted his head. Seeing how red he was, Saejima wondered if the descendant of a snow woman could even get fevers. Later at night, the section chief commended his employees for their fine work at the training. They cheered with drinks and enjoyed the food and music. Komori felt training retreats were the best, but she had one regret. There was a fireworks festival tonight, but sadly, they'd be too late to reserve a good spot. After dinner, Fuyu suggested they take a little detour, though it wasn't as little as they thought. Soon, they arrived at the perfect spot to watch the fireworks. Fuyu then explained she found the place after researching her travel guidebook, and this was a little local secret. Himuro thought she was so darn smart for coming up with this. Then, they all took pictures together. Fuyu admired the photo that she took of the childlike Himuro, and she decided it would be her little secret. He then got a few glances at her, hoping he could come back with her next year to enjoy the fireworks again. Himuro panicked, fearing he'd be separated from Fuyu, as the section chiefs informed they'd get their permanent assignments next week. Back home, he prayed to the cat whiskers to be in the same department as her. Exiting the shower, Fuyu picked up her phone, staring at the picture she took during the fireworks festival. She'd never felt so close to other people like this before, and likewise, hoped to be in the same department as Himuro, alongside Saejima and Komori. Himuro then got an email showing the new assignments. He nervously scrolled down and saw his name, and luckily, Fuyuki's was there as well. His joy knew no bounds, getting his wish. When he got to the office, Himuro was stunned, finding Fuyu would be sitting next to him. They weren't just in the same department, they were sitting together. Filled with excitement about his neighbor, he nearly froze his colleagues. Saejima found it coincidental that they were all back together in the same department, but Komori felt it was more like destiny. Hearing this, Himuro proceeded to freeze them again. At night, he sat with the whiskers Fuyu had given him, and somewhat believed they were actually working in his favor. He thought back to how Fuyu really saved him during the employee retreat, and she was always being thoughtful of him. Himuro felt he owed her so much, and wondered how to pay her back for all she'd done. On the train ride to work, he came across a restaurant ad and figured this would work. During lunch break, he found Fuyu and Komori having lunch together. Then, he overheard Fuyu saying she wasn't really picky with food ever since she was a child, and he thought this was magnificent. Wondering where to take her, he decided it'd be best to just ask. When they were back at work, he nervously asked what her favorite cuisine was, out of a wide range. Fuyu answered that she liked all of them, leaving him more distraught. Still lost in thought about where to take her, Himuro mistakenly froze the table. He spent the night browsing through a lot of options to pick the best one that would make her happy. The next day, he decided to ask her, but Fuyu would find him frozen solid in front of the vending machine. Upon seeing her, the ice shattered, and he explained he produced ice from his fingertips when he got nervous. She noticed this had been constant lately, and offered him a massage to help him relax, cracking her knuckles to ready herself. Himuro ended up screaming in pain. Fuyu was a lot stronger than he thought. She was very familiar with the pressure points of the foot. She then eased his mind, letting him know he'd succeed at what he wanted to try, and asked him to be confident. He took a deep breath, and finally asked her to join him for dinner. Since she always did so much for him, he was hoping to repay her. Feeling nervous, she agreed, and when he walked out, Fuyu couldn't help but wonder if she just got asked out on a date. Himuro was blushing all over as he called the restaurant to make reservations. He freaked out internally, realizing this really was looking like a date. After work, they silently walked to the restaurant. Himuro was really glad she liked the food, making snow fall like he usually did. At that moment, Fuyu felt it was harder to converse with him than usual. She could never tell what he was thinking. Of course, she knew she was equally hard to read with her lack of expression. She wondered if he was bored. Since she couldn't really make witty conversation, she wondered if he was having fun spending time with her. Himuro noticed she hadn't really spoken. They both thought about making conversation, but both had no idea what to say, making the air awkward. Fuyu would then excuse herself to take a call. Returning, she overheard Himuro telling the waiter that the day was wonderful. He and Fuyu got flustered. Their faces went red, and Himuro fainted. We then learned that he melted when feeling embarrassed, too. Back at the office, he kept replaying his time with Fuyuki. He longed for another date. So lost in thought, he didn't notice Saijima's voice until the guy mentioned Fuyu was right in front of them, causing Himuro to pop out tiny snowmen. Then, they'd eavesdrop on Komori asking Fuyu how she felt about Himuro. Fuyu answered she wasn't sure, and that they probably weren't close at all. Himuro would freeze solid, and the ice shattered. She then brought up how she didn't even know his phone number. Plus, they had a hard time holding conversations. Still, she admitted she liked him a great deal. She even wanted to make a snowman with him and go sledding. Flushed with emotions, Himuro felt the same. Fuyu was shocked when he suddenly asked to exchange contact details with her. He noticed hers was stored under Nyamero's name and thought it was charming, but he felt like he was talking to her cat and not her. Fuyu then offered to send him new pictures of her cat when she was home. At home, she stared at Himuro's contact that had been added as a friend. They did go out to dinner together, and although Himuro was a descendant of a snow woman and a very mysterious person, she felt they'd grown closer. He then got a cute picture of her with her cat. Feeling overjoyed, he mistakenly froze over his phone as he tried to save the picture. He would also wake up to a good morning text from Fuyu, getting it pumped up for the day. During work, she suggested he take a lunch break as she checked the time. He also noticed her phone's lock screen wallpaper was the picture they took at the employee retreat. She apologized for not asking for permission before using, but Himuro was just super happy to be put on her phone. Unbeknownst to him, her home screen wallpaper was a picture of his child form. Returning for his wallet, she quickly put the phone down to keep her secret. Coming back from buying lunch together, Himuro was flustered by her cute smile. He felt it had to be illegal. Then, he stumbled upon Katori, a man who seemed to be descended from a spirit as well. Ooh, my soul is leaving my body. Because you haven't liked the video or subscribed to my channel yet. Wait, you have? Smoochies. Because here at My Shoujo Weekly, I got the juicy stories in the shoujo genre. So come on, hit that subscribe, I'll be your guy. Himuro introduced Katori as a childhood friend and a descendant of a phoenix. Katori reveals he'd been working as a salesman since last week. Fuyu noticed he was quite excited. As Katori explained, a call he staked his life on had gone perfectly. Prior to his sales job, Katori was an artist. He proceeded to show some pictures of his works, which Saijima called very avant-garde. Komori suspected Katori switched jobs to find his childhood friend, but Himuro felt that was highly unlikely. Before Katori could explain, Otanashi came in, letting him know his break was up. So, he rushed off with her, just like a baby bird. Later, Himuro bumped into Fuyu, causing her to drop all the documents in her hands. While helping her pick them up, he saw a movie flyer about the new George the Kitten movie, based on a popular cartoon that was meant for kids. When he asked her about it, Fuyu quickly took away the flyer, feeling embarrassed. She brought up how she liked it and found it cute, and Himuro liked how cute she was being as well. She had even gone alone to see the first movie alongside all the children and parents. Himuro then said he wouldn't mind seeing it, because he wanted to know more about the things she liked. Fuyu then asked him to go see the movie with her, and he happily agreed, deciding to watch the first part at home. First, they ate out together, and now a movie, even on a day off. Himuro was certain this had to be a date. He reminded himself to remain calm, or else he'd freeze up the theater. While watching the movie, Himuro wondered if they'd go eat after the movie. However, he pushed the thoughts aside, deciding to hit the hay early so he could read her mood the next day and not sleep at the movies. But he'd freeze his whole bed over, feeling very anxious. Likewise, Fuyu was too nervous to sleep as well. She would meet up with him the next day, leaving Himuro stunned by her beauty. Being with her on a day off left his heart racing. At the theater, unbeknownst to them, Saijima had caught sight of them. He, however, went to see a different movie, and coincidentally, Katori would sit beside him. Meanwhile, Himuro was really excited just being close to Fuyu, but he tried to remain calm in order not to cause a blizzard. That wouldn't last because of her cute giggles. Later, Himuro started to really get into the movie. It was quite emotional, and he felt he owed Fuyu for helping him discover new enjoyable things in adulthood. Seeing her cry, he quickly offered her a handkerchief. This was when he realized he was completely head over heels for her. After the movie, he let her know he cried as well. But when she asked what happened when he usually cried, he decided to keep it a secret this time. She wondered if she'd ever get to see him cry someday. Not intentionally, of course. The next night, Himuro had to work late. As fate would have it, Fuyu was working overtime as well, and they were both waiting for phone calls. Originally not feeling great about overtime, he was now ecstatic to know he'd be spending it alone with her. He then offered to get some coffee, but got too excited and froze his cup. When he returned, Fuyu told him she'd been invited to dinner by Komori, but was disappointed that she had to turn her down because of work. We then see Komori going along with Saejima. He teased that he was paying her kindness by coming along, since she didn't have too many friends. Shortly after, Kotori and Otonashi came across them, so they all went to have dinner together. At the restaurant, Saejima talked about seeing Himuro and Fuyu together at the theater, and they all started guessing the movie they went to watch. Eventually, they speculated Himuro and Fuyu would fall in love while working overtime. Meanwhile, Himuro was desperately thinking of a way to cheer up Fuyu. That's when she suggested they play Shiritori. They started playing, and Himuro was having so much fun, he wished he could play it with her every day. Fuyu's call finally came in, which meant she'd be leaving soon. Seeing this, Himuro wished time would stop for them a little longer. Surprisingly, she revealed her overtime had been extended. She then asked if he found himself doodling whenever he was on the phone, which he did. He wasn't really artistic, showing a simple drawing of a cat. Fuyu showed her own drawing, and suggested they try quizzing each other. Afterwards, they'd send portraits they drew of each other to Komori and Katori. Himuro was excitedly telling Kotori that Fuyu drew a portrait of him, and Katori congratulated him out loud, leaving the others wonder how much progress they'd made with each other while working overtime. Fuyu and Himuro eventually got the call they were waiting for, and thereafter, Himuro asked her out to a late-night dinner. She agreed, telling him to wait at the entrance while she went to get her things. Himuro would then conjure another blizzard out of excitement. Himuro came across an ad for a competition to win a George the Kitten plate set, so he decided to participate. During lunch break, he started gathering points for the pre-packed rolls he bought. Soon, Komori would join him and Fuyu, and he noticed she was always eating kitsune udon. This apparently had to do with the fact she descended from a fox spirit. Later, Saejima would see her eating and warn her that her tail was flipping up her skirt. Embarrassed, Komori called him a perv. He then suggested she always leave her tail and ears instead of hiding them, causing her to tease him for being a bad boy who wanted to see her panties all the time. Getting flush, Saejima replied by calling her cute, leaving Komori flustered and speechless. Then, he'd crush her by saying he just meant her fox features. Komori got worked up for nothing. She warned he'd never get a girl if he was always talking like this. But internally, Saejima knew he wasn't just talking about her tail. That night, Himuro calculated how long it'd take him to gather all the points he needed. He decided to do it at a steady pace, gathering all the points by the deadline. The following morning, Fuyu saw the same ad and decided to join the competition as well. Meanwhile, Komori woke up late and had to rush to work, or else she'd be late. While she went through some ordeals, Himuro and Fuyu met up and walked to the office together. Upon getting to the office, Fuyu could see Komori looked quite exhausted and offered some glucose sticks to help re-energize her. Komori was really excited, declaring Fuyu as her savior. Inside the packet, she also found a toy. Saejima then walked in and noticed the toy she was holding. He got really excited as it brought back memories of when he used to collect them as a kid. From this point, Komori decided she would start collecting the toys as well. Coming to work the next day, she saw an extra toy on her table and figured someone must have bought it for her. As the days went by, more toys kept popping up on Komori's desk. Fuyu noticed her desk was a lot cuter as well. Komori felt she owed a lot to her secret helper, whom Fuyu designated the Gluco Fairy. At the same time, Himuro realized he messed up his calculations, fearing he might not be able to win the plate set anymore. Later on, Komori celebrated getting the last piece of her set, though she felt a bit sad that her secret helper wouldn't be around after this. Saejima then walked in, seeing that she wouldn't be needing the toy he was about to give her, and Komori realized he was the Gluco Fairy all along. He would then tell her about a 7th set that was featuring a fox this time, causing Komori's ears and tail to perk up with joy. She asked why he was being so nice, and Saejima replied, "It's out of love, but only for foxes." Still, she felt it was pretty nice. Himuro stared at his sticker stamp, thinking he might not be able to gather all the points. That's when Fuyu would show her own stamp to him, revealing she usually ate those pre-packaged rolls for breakfast. She offered her points to him, causing him to blow a blizzard. She was his fairy. After winning the plate set, he gave Fuyu one of them. Katori then came to meet Himuro, asking for his advice. While they got drinks, she always used to do so much for him, and he'd follow her everywhere like a baby bird. He even told her he wanted to spend the rest of his life making her happy, and ever since then, she'd been avoiding him. Katori wailed that he'd die if Otonashi actually hated him, but Himoto figured he'd come back. After all, he was a phoenix. Fuyu lifted his spirits, saying Otonashi definitely didn't hate him. And just as Otonashi walked in, Kotori revealed his feelings for her, but she got upset that he was saying things that could be taken the wrong way. As she left to do her rounds, Kotori wanted to follow her, and she quickly sent him back. Fuyu then questioned if Otonashi was misreading his feelings. However, Kotori meant every word he said. Before he started here, he was a starving artist working part-time at a friend's cafe. They rarely had customers, but Otonashi was a regular there, and she always left at the speed of the wind after eating. Seeing her incredible speed and luminescent vitality, Kotori loved her. And the more he learned about who she really was, the more he came to love her. And so, like a moth to a flame, Kotori decided to join her company. At first, Otonashi didn't really like him, being he was a newbie with no sales experience. But Kotori put his head down and pushed through until he started doing really well. However, one day, the Umiyami Corporation canceled its contract with the company because of their competition. The news was killing the sales department's morale, so Kotori decided to use his powers as a phoenix to bring it back to life. Before he could speak, Otonashi furiously decided to make the corporation pay and decided to find new clients. Kotori was captivated by the fire in her eyes and how she even burned hotter than a phoenix. Eventually, a client he took on turned into big business for them, causing their numbers to soar even higher than before. He couldn't take all the credit, giving it up to Otonashi's leadership, but she wasn't there to celebrate. He would then find her crying alone, feeling overwhelmed by what they had accomplished. She was always working twice as hard as anyone. Despite being afraid, she always faced her fears. Kotori thought she was a strong and impressive person. That's why he wanted to spend the rest of his life with her. But no matter how much he said he loved her, she never took him seriously. Fuyu then suggested he try using different words. And right there, Kotori practiced a mock confession to her, causing Himoto to freeze him out of jealousy. Seeing Himoto get mad, Kotori was convinced it would work, so he rushed off. Afterwards, Fuyu expressed wishing she could have gone to school with Himoto. The thought of spending their youth together got him overjoyed, so much he fantasized about their entire school experience. But she would tell him she also had fun being with him now. Flushed, Himoto covered his face, thinking that this moment was his true youth. Days later, at work, Fuyu noticed Himoto barely made eye contact, and he revealed it was hard for him to maintain it. Komori then suggested Fuyu train him on how to make better contact. Fuyu would have Himoto look at her, but stare at the bridge of her nose instead of making direct eye contact. As it went on, she eventually admitted defeat, feeling too flustered. Himoto also stepped out quickly, thinking how cute Fuyu was. The section chief would find him sprouting snowmen and show him 2 tickets to Nakcomi Land. Himoto misread his intentions, thinking the chief wanted them to go together. But the chief wasn't interested. Shortly after, Fuyu joined them, and the chief asks her if she's interested, proposing that she and Himoto go together. Himoto was freaking out in his head, believing the section chief was the perfect wingman. He always seemed Buddha-like, but was a real, enlightened being. Himoto was going to worship him from now on. Since Fuyu had never been to Nakcomi Land, Himoto decided to do some research to make sure she had a great time. Back at home, she told her cat about the park, saying it was a land of love and joy, featuring the cat characters, Nikki and Nini. The next day, Komori got excited, ears and tail popping out at the thought of Himoto and Fuyu going on a date. She offered to teach Himoto the ins and outs of the park, since she was an annual pass holder. Himoto had no idea she was an expert. Komori started asking him who his favorite characters were, and began talking about so many things his mind couldn't keep up. He was such a novice. All the jargon sounded like gibberish. He figured this was too much for him and began getting discouraged. Komori tried to cheer him up all the way to the office. Fuyu noticed Komori was also a fan of Nakcomi Land and offered her tickets. Komori quickly declined as Himoto gave her a death stare. She almost got on his bad side forever. Fuyu then proceeded to make it worse by asking for all 3 of them to go together. Komori dragged in Saejima to join them. Himoto's ice then melted, seeing Fuyu was looking forward to this. The park was a lot bigger than Himoto expected, and really crowded. Fuyu would then notice a lost girl who was looking for her parents. She decided to take the girl to the Lost Child Center. Looking at her, Himoto was moved by her kindness. Saejima saw both of them helping the lost child, and decided to let them have their alone time. With him and Komori left together, he asked if she didn't like hanging out with him, but she laughed, thinking he was joking. Over at the Lost Child Center, the little girl seemed anxious, so Fuyu decided they should stay with her until her parents arrived. While she put on a puppet show for the little girl, Himuro was so charmed, he started making snowmen, which the girl really liked. Thereafter, the girl's parents came to pick her up. Himuro tried calling Saejima, who ignored the call to continue his awkward date with Komori. Fuyu also tried calling Komori, but she wasn't picking up. She apologized to Himuro for making him follow her. However, he told her it was fun for him, and that even now he was having fun. With this being Fuyu's first time at Nakcomi Land, she admitted it was a nice place. Not only were Nikki and Nini cute to her, but all the cats were as well. Himuro made a comment about Nyamero being cute, and then he caused another blizzard, thinking nothing was as cute as Fuyu, a little boy running around would trip, falling on the ground. Then, Himuro rushed to help him up, talking to him to make the pain all go away. Seeing how good he was with kids, Fuyu told him he'd make a good father. She then recalled how the lost girl enjoyed his company as well, mostly the snowmen he made. Later, they would go on the Nyangoro cruise, a boat ride that presented lazy cats from all around the world. From there, they went to a cat musical show, a ghost house, and also got dinner together. Himuro wasn't a fan of crowds, but just being with Fuyu made the park so much fun for him. While on the Ferris wheel, Fuyu recalled when he said it made him happy watching all the people here, and she admitted watching them made her happy too. Nakcomi Land was truly a land of love and joy. Thinking it was the best place ever, Himuro made it snow, putting on a show for everyone else. Next up, they went to the souvenir shop, where Fuyu proposed they get matching coffee mugs. Himuro agreed, saying they could use them at the office, but this made Fuyu flustered, as she speculated people would talk. At this point, Himuro didn't even care. Let them talk. And in that moment, just as it looked like he was about to confess his feelings, Saejima and Komori showed up. The four of them then attended the parade together. There, fireworks bloomed beautifully in the sky, and they took pictures, kind of like a repeat of Okinawa. On the train back home, Himuro leaned on Fuyu as he slept, and when she got home, she gave her cat a Nikki and Nini toy he could play with later. The four of them would start discussing what to do with 4 billion yen after Himuro came across a posting. For reference, that is the equivalent of $27 million. Fuyu said she drank the Starbucks limited time special every day, and for Halloween, they were doing a themed pumpkin black pepper coffee. Fuyu had always wanted to try this, but complained that the lines at the Starbucks near the office were always so long. Himuro was interested, wanting to try the coffee as well. After work, he found a surprisingly empty shop and decided to get 4 pumpkin black peppers. He also told them he didn't need an ice pack. Being the descendant of a snow woman, after all, there was no one better at preserving cold drinks. He hoped this would make Fuyu happy. The next day, on their break, he was shocked to see that Fuyu had also gotten 4 cups of the same coffee. She noticed the bag of coffee he was holding, finding it funny that they were really in sync. So, they decided to share the extra cups with their friends, but still had 2 cups left. Saejima notices a poster for a company costume contest that the president started. The company president, a descendant of the Naraishon spirit, a spirit known as the supreme commander of yokai, came by and Fuyu offered her 1 of the cups of coffee. She then revealed that the prize for the contest was 100,000 yen. She really loved parties, and didn't mind paying out of her pocket to see everyone go all in on the revelry. As she left, everyone was pumped up for the contest. While Himuro and his team were brainstorming ideas, Katori and Otonashi did theirs separately. With the theme being monsters and other things, Himuro started imagining how good Fuyu would look in different costumes. Fuyu then proposed they dress up in pumpkin costumes, but Himuro wasn't happy that it'd cover her face. After work, he'd follow her to go shopping for the costumes. Even if they were going to buy pumpkin ones, his joy shopping with her was stronger. However, they saw the costumes were sold out when they got to the store. Seeing how disappointed Fuyu was, Himuro decided they should try out other stores. He swore to get his hands on the pumpkins and make them pay for making her sad. But the costumes were sold out everywhere, even online. While checking out other stores, Himuro was flustered seeing Fuyu in a cute vampire costume. It definitely made more of an impact than he'd expected. He then walked Fuyu to her apartment building. She would flick his forehead, calling it a trick, since he didn't give her any candy when she said trick or treat earlier, and Himuro thought it was the cutest thing ever. He was engulfed in a blizzard as she took her things and bid him goodnight. The night of the party, Himuro and his colleagues were on their way to get changed into the costumes, except Fuyu, who was being kept late by a client. They bumped into Katori, who looked totally devastated. He revealed he'd forgotten his and Otonashi's costumes at home. Not only would it take too long to go back and get them, but it'd also take an hour to put them on. Katori showcased the costume he spent 3 days on. It was more of an art piece than a costume, really. Plus, he hadn't shown Otonashi yet, hoping to surprise her with it. Komori brought up some frightening, mundane ideas, but they weren't really suited. The president then approached them, clarifying that costumes had to be truly monstrous to take part in the night parade. Himuro then got a text from Fuyu, letting him know she was done with the meeting and would soon be at the party. He explained Katori's dilemma to her. So, she came up with the idea of using paper to make mummy costumes. After helping Katori and Otonashi dress up, Himuro thanked Fuyu for the idea and sent her a picture of them. As he and his colleagues got dressed up, Komori complimented how handsome Himuro looked, and he wondered if Fuyu would feel the same. Soon after, she texted Himuro and asked him to come meet her because she had a question. He and Komori went together, not expecting to see blood dripping from Fuyu's lip. Himuro froze himself solid. Fuyu would then reveal it was fake blood, and she simply wanted to know if it added any impact. Himuro felt lame for his reaction. Meanwhile, Fuyu was totally flustered at how good Himuro looked in his costume, and Komori would tease her about it. During the party, the air around them was pretty awkward. The president would announce the results of the costume contest with Himuro's vampire team as the runner-ups, and Katori's mummy team were the winners. Otonashi decided to split the winnings with them, and Komori said they should all head out for a feast. Still, Fuyu and Himuro remained awkward around each other. He would meet her in the office trying to pack up her things. Fuyu then asked if they could leave in their costumes together, because she wanted to enjoy Halloween a bit longer. While walking together, they came across the people who had bought their pumpkin costumes earlier. With Halloween over, Christmas was fast approaching, and Himuro only thought about how he'd love to spend it with Fuyu. Thinking of what to give Fuyu for Christmas, Himuro came across a pair of snowflake earrings and bought them, hoping she'd like it. Later on, he and Fuyu, aside their colleagues, decided to go skiing together. It all started a week ago, when Komori won a Christmas ski trip, and she invited Fuyu to join her. However, Fuyu initially declined because she had never gone skiing before, but that was all the more reason to go. Komori managed to persuade her. When Himuro came in, she found out he could ski and asked him to teach Fuyu. He was flushed at just the thought of it. Komori then decided to make it a Christmas group ski trip. On the trip, Himuro began teaching Fuyu. To think his life would ever be so blessed, skiing with the same girl he was sweet towards. Of course, he made it snow very heavily. He decided to start with the basics, but Fuyu was confused by the terms he used. Himuro would then demonstrate before telling her to try it out. Even though she messed up, he still thought she was too cute. He then realized he wasn't good at teaching because he basically grew up skiing, and most of his technique was instinctual. Komori would then come and explain the basics to Fuyu in a better way she could understand. Fuyu eventually got the hang of it, and even though Himuro looked sad, he thought her skills were magnificent. With Fuyu's technique getting better, Komori brought up the idea of going up the slope. Saejima noted there was a day lodge up there that served great curry, so they headed there. On the lift, they saw some footprints, which Komori said looked like her mom's. Hearing this, the others wondered if her mom was a big, fluffy fox, but Komori was only joking, revealing her mom was a regular old lady. When they got on foot, Saejima was curious about Himuro's parents, and he replied that they were just ordinary office workers. He also revealed he had a student little sister. Fuyu had no idea he had one, despite how long they'd worked together. Himuro recalled that his sister had a part-time job at a ski lodge. His colleagues speculated it would be the one they were heading to, but he thought it was highly unlikely. And just as they got to the lodge, you guessed it, the unlikely happened. Himuro's sister, Yukimin, was working there. She did all kinds of things, such as modeling and streaming too. She was a pretty big deal, but was too shy to let people see her channel. Saejima would then find her channel with a significant subscriber count. However, Yukimin explained she was embarrassed because her most viewed video was about eating, which wasn't what she wanted to be known for. On the other hand, Fuyu found it quite charming. Yukimin recognized Fuyu, and before she could reveal how her brother always talked about her, Himuro shut her up. She then shrugged him off and went away with Fuyu. Yukimin told Fuyu she was worried because descendants of snow women were rather short-tempered. She hoped her brother wasn't causing trouble at work, but Fuyu remarked that Himuro was always accommodating, and everyone was happy to have him. While Yukimin was struck by her charm, Fuyu noticed she had the same eyes as Himuro. She caused a blizzard as she declared, "I love you," to Fuyu. Himuro quickly pulled his sister away, hoping that she wasn't really trying to get her paws on his crush. From there, they commenced their Christmas takoyaki party. Turns out, Fuyu had brought a whole grill for it, which was why she had a big luggage with her. She hoped the grill wouldn't be a problem for Himuro. Luckily, he loved takoyaki. Well, actually, he'd probably eat anything she made. Fuyu would whisper to him, saying Santa Fuyutsuki would give him an extra octopus in his takoyaki. Himuro freaked out in his head, thinking Santa Fuyutsuki was more of an angel. He'd never been happier to be alive, causing a crazy snowstorm indoors. And so, they all enjoyed a warm takoyaki party. When they were out of booze, Fuyu opted to go buy some, and Himuro went with her, carrying a gift bag. Outside, they stumbled upon a beautiful Christmas tree, and nervously, Himuro handed the gift he got for her. She saw it was a blanket, and felt bad for not getting him anything. That wasn't a problem for him, and he explained he got the blanket for her because of the blizzards he was always causing at the office. But she would explain she didn't mind them, because anytime she was with Himuro, she always felt a bit warm inside. Later, we find out that Himuro overheard some girls complaining that it was bad and a bit pushy to get accessories as a gift. Because of this, he had returned the earrings, and opted for the blanket instead. On the bus back, Fuyu complimented how warm the blanket was. Then, Himuro apologized for his sister's obnoxious behavior, but Fuyu didn't mind, saying Yuki-min was a kind girl. She noticed how differently he acted around her, and was glad to have seen him out of office mode. Fuyu was pleased to have gone on the ski trip with him. Himuro was flattered, blushing hard, causing another blizzard on the bus. Yuki-min then got a text from her brother, thanking her. But this only grossed her out. It was a pretty nice Christmas, and Himuro was looking forward to going skiing with Fuyu next year. While cleaning his drawer, Himuro found items that brought back memories of his time with Fuyu this year. The president would then announce a long break, since there wasn't much for them to do. Hima then came to help his colleagues take away documents that were no longer needed and shred them. After Fuyu handed in some, she noticed one of the drawings from when she and Himuro worked overtime. She asked if he planned to throw it out, but Himuro would never. Rather, he wanted to pass it down to one of his descendants. While they stared at each other intently, Komori would tease them. On the way home, Fuyu was shocked to find out that Himuro could even get cold hands. She, on the other hand, was pretty warm. So, she took his hands to help him warm up. They were both flush as they held hands, staring at each other. A little kid would then point them out, leaving them even more flustered. With not much work left to do, Himuro figured he might not see Fuyu till the new year. Out of nowhere, Yuki-min popped up in his face. She needed 108 snowmen from him, as a part of her plan for her New Year's Eve stream. When Himuro complained it wasn't that easy, she showed him a picture of Fuyu, causing him to sprout snowmen out of excitement. Following that, he and the rest of his colleagues attended a New Year's Eve party hosted by Komori. Not knowing how to approach this, Himuro seemed a bit down, but Saejima told him it was okay to just relax. Soon after, Fuyu joined, making the experience more enjoyable for Himuro. As they cheered to surviving the year, Saejima noticed Fuyu and Himuro were drinking the same thing. Meanwhile, Saejima was still drinking tea. As Fuyu went to bring her cat, everyone noticed she was wearing her high school gym pants as pajamas. She felt really embarrassed. But Himuro would cause a snowstorm due to how cute she looked. Otanashi and Katori joined after that, and everyone noticed they were both using virtual background. Katori would then suggest they all go visit a shrine on New Year's, but Komori wouldn't be able to go due to family business. After the rest agreed where to meet up, everyone left the call, except for Himuro and Fuyu. They were all together until midnight struck, welcoming the new year. That night, Himuro would have a nightmare where his fortune told him the New Year's would be full of bad luck. He then met up with his colleagues. While Kotori spoke about his bad dream, Himuro noticed Fuyu wasn't there yet. He then told them about the bad dream he also had. Fuyu then showed up in a cute kimono that caused Himuro to make another blizzard. He felt like he'd just seen a goddess. Everyone soon got separated, leaving Himuro and Fuyu together, just like in Nakcomi Land. So, they decided to head to the main temple, hoping they'd encounter the others on the way. Due to the crowd, someone bumped into Fuyu, causing her to trip over. Himuro would quickly catch her, leaving them both flustered. A little girl would bump into them, causing him to catch her again. Himuro suggested they hold hands so they wouldn't get separated, though his hand slowly froze. As they interlocked fingers, their colleagues would meet up with them at this moment. Komori then showed up as well, revealing that her parents owned this shrine. She felt a bit jealous seeing how close Fuyu and Himuro were. She wished she could hang out with everyone. She was then startled as Saejima approached. Then, he gave her a protective charm to cheer her up. They were both flushed with emotions as she happily accepted his gift. As Himuro and Fuyu reached the shrine, he asked the gods to let them return together next year. Back at the office, Himuro noticed Fuyu using the blanket he gifted her, which brought back memories of that moment. She let him know it was still warm, making him a little warm too. With Fuyu's birthday approaching, Himuro felt pathetic for not giving her the snowflake earrings. 2 little snowmen popped up in his face, giving him the resolve to finally give them to her. A sudden heavy downpour occurred, and Otanashi told everyone that the trains had stopped running. Since they wouldn't be able to get home, Komori suggested the girls stay at a hotel close to the train station. At the same time, Kotori invited the guys to hang out at his place, since it was close to the office. While Kotori and Saejima played video games, Himuro wondered what plans Fuyu had for her birthday. At the hotel, Komori hid under the blanket, completely frightened by the thunder. The way she trembled reminded Fuyu of when Nyaomero was a kitten. Fuyu would comfort her, promising to come to her side the next time thunder scared her. Otonashi mentioned Komori had a boyfriend already and began teasing her about Saejima. She had even seen them getting lunch together. Komori then shot back, trying to tease Otonashi about Katori, following her around every day. However, Otonashi only saw him as a junior she was mentoring. Fuyu then confessed she'd never been in love before, and it made the girls wonder what exactly Himuro was to her. Just then, she got a text from him, giving her an update about the guys. Komori and Otonashi could definitely tell something was making her blush hard. Himuro then got a picture of all the girls having fun from Fuyu. He'd freeze the entire room, wishing he were a girl, so he could have been there with her. That night, he had a nightmare where he was too nervous to give Fuyu the earrings and ended up freezing himself solid. Fuyu's birthday finally came, and Komori wanted them to grab dinner together. Himuro overheard as Fuyu declined Komori because she had plans with her parents. He then made up his mind to give her his present before she left. However, each time he tried approaching her, there was always something that got in his way. Still, he could see she was loved by the whole office, and it made him happy to see that the girl he loved was so popular. Eventually, he was able to meet her, and they went to get coffee. Fuyu thanked him for all his help, complimenting how reliable he was. Before he could be distracted by his feelings, Himuro asked her to walk home with him in the evening. When the time came, he felt Fuyu might be thinking of him as nothing more than a close colleague. Because of that, he wondered if the jewelry was really appropriate for a birthday present. Feeling anxious about what would make her happy, he'd freeze the whole scenery. And Fuyu found the sight beautiful, wondering if this was her birthday present. That's when he finally handed over the earrings, wishing her a happy birthday. As Fuyu put them on, Himuro was captivated by how pretty she looked. She loved the earrings so much, she wore them to dinner with her parents. She also decided she should get something for Himuro's birthday. At the office, Komori overheard Himuro telling Saejima that he asked someone to live with him. Guessing it was Fuyu, Komori rushed over to congratulate her, but Fuyu had no idea what she was talking about. This made Komori believe it was someone else. Himuro would then let him know he was talking about a stray cat around his neighborhood. Whenever he saw the cat, he'd get so excited and cause a blizzard, which made the cat run away. So every night, he prayed to Nyaomero's whiskers and even practiced with a George the Kitten plushie to get close. Day after day, he kept trying to befriend the cat, until it finally got comfortable around him. Eventually, Himuro asked the cat to come live with him. He had even bought a small cage and a toy in preparation to live with the cat. Seeing that Himuro was about to adopt the cat, Fuyu offered to help in any way she could. He then asked for her to help catch the cat on his way home. When they got to the spot where Himuro usually saw the cat, it wasn't there. So, they started searching around. In the process, Fuyu was taken to the beautiful scenery. Meanwhile, Himuro wished their nighttime stroll could go on forever. Then, they finally saw the cat, and Fuyu was able to befriend it quickly, something that took Himuro a whole month. She showed him her trick, holding out a finger for the cat to snip, letting it get used to her scent. When she lifted it up, Himuro felt jealous of her for holding it. Fuyu told the cat Himuro was a good man and that it was in good hands. Hearing her compliment, his heart raced, and he vowed himself to give the cat a good life. But seeing how tame it was, Fuyu suspected the cat already had a family. At that moment, they saw a poster confirming it was a lost pet. After they returned the cat to its owner, Himuro was visibly depressed, sprouting icicles of sorrow. Fuyu would invite him to her place on Sunday to spend time with Nyaomero, and best believe his mind went wild as he realized Fuyu had just invited him. On Sunday morning, Himuro was already causing a blizzard at the thought of going to her place. As his sister confronted him about it, he noticed she was quite peppy, but she refused to tell him about it. On his way, he bought a roll cake before getting on the train. Even though he was visiting Fuyu partly because of her cat, he still wanted to get closer to her. They got along well as colleagues. However, he wanted a more special place in her heart. Entering her apartment, Himuro was so excited, he started sparkling with fine snowflakes, which he called diamond dust. It usually appeared when he wallowed in quiet bliss. Fuyu understood his feelings, remarking that it was a delight when a cat talked back to you. But this was a little more than that for Himuro. Fuyu decided to give her cat treats, while she and Himuro would have the cake he bought. When she was about to point out where the plates were, their hands would accidentally touch, stirring their emotions. But the moment was ruined when Fuyu's doorbell rang. Surprisingly, it was Yuki-min. The two siblings weren't expecting to encounter each other, and Yuki-min would reveal she occasionally stopped at Fuyu's place after work. Himuro wondered when they got so close, and figured that was why Yuki-min was in a good mood earlier. Himuro asked his sister to go, but she teased him about refusing to make snowmen for her New Year's stream. This made him depressed, and Yuki-min was about to leave, But because Fuyu invited her to have some cake with them, leaving suddenly felt awkward. Himuro was sad because he didn't get to spend the day alone with Fuyu, but he cheered up when she asked to come over to his place sometime. His excitement stirred up a blizzard, startling Nyamero. Fuyu reassured him, saying her cat was more amused than upset by the snow. And in the end, he was able to grow closer to the cat, and hoped to grow even closer with Fuyu. At the office, Himuro misunderstood when Komori asked about his visit, causing her and Saejima to tease them, as they asked what really happened when he went to see Fuyu. Himuro and Fuyu would later meet at the train station with their suitcases. Even though she arrived late, they still had some time before the train would come. So they went off to get lunch, and Fuyu chose an octopus pot lunch, which she had been curious about. Himuro went with the same, making them have their third matching set. He was so overjoyed, but quickly calmed himself as he remembered he was doing this for work. The section chief told Himuro that he and Fuyu had been selected for a big, important project, and they'd be required to stay over at a hotel. Hearing this, Himuro got so happy, he covered the chief in snow. On the train ride, Himuro was concerned about Fuyu's cat, but she didn't need to bring in a sitter for one night away. She looked forward to Himuro visiting again, considering how much Nyamero liked him as well. Fuyu was a bit nervous about the grueling schedule of this job, but knowing Himuro was with her made her feel a bit more confident. He was determined to get through this and have a wonderful dinner with her. As the stressful schedule went on, he thought it was going nice and that he could do no wrong today. But on their way to dinner, he seemed very exhausted. Just as he insisted he was fine, Himuro suddenly shrank into his child form because of a serious fever. Fuyu offered to buy him ice cream like back in Okinawa. However, he explained it wouldn't work and had to wait for the fever to go down. Fuyu then held his hands on the way back to the hotel, and Himuro felt getting a fever on a business trip was so pathetic. Entering the room, Fuyu decided to share it with him and look after him overnight. Himuro felt a bit embarrassed, demanding he stay alone. Then suddenly, he'd collapsed against her on the bed, leading to an awkward moment. Flustered, he apologized and got off to answer a call from the chief. After the call, Fuyu urged him to get back in bed, while she handled the report they were supposed to send. Himuro kept apologizing to her, but she didn't mind. When she was done with work, she stepped out to get him something to eat. Himuro kept thinking about how he embarrassed himself in front of Fuyu, feeling so miserable, but he shoved the thoughts aside, forcing himself to sleep and get better quickly. When Fuyu returned, he had already fallen asleep. She sat by his side, noting how adorable he looked, and she hoped his fever would be gone soon. Himuro returned to his adult size in the middle of the night, and upon seeing Fuyu sleeping on the sofa, he felt guilty. He caught himself flush with emotions as he stared at her, and got really close to her face. By morning, Fuyu woke up and was glad to see he was back to his adult size. As she saw his eye bags, she could tell he stayed up all night working. Despite Himuro denying it, she could read him like a book. Afterwards, they would have a memorable meal for the business trip. On the way back, Himuro felt bad they wouldn't be having any more fun time. He wished they could stay longer. Suddenly, a gust of wind blew past them, carrying cherry blossoms. They soon arrived at the spot where they had met each other for the first time, and realized it had been a whole year since they'd known each other. Memories of all the warm times they spent together played through. Fuyu had always been called cold and stoic since she was a child, and she believed she'd remain that way for the rest of her life. But after meeting Himuro, she felt something had changed. Likewise, Himuro produced ice and snow when he got emotional. So, he gave up on a lot of things because of this. But he'd been able to change as well, all thanks to Fuyu. The two were so glad to have met each other. Returning to the office, their colleagues invited them for a flower viewing hangout during the weekend and happily welcomed them back. Alright, a nice ending to this relaxing josei-esque anime. Not really any major plot points, mostly just a cute everyday living kind of romance. I really like the dynamic of the female lead naturally being stoic and low emotion, while the male lead is forced to be stoic because if his real excited personality came out, his blizzard would wreak havoc. That's the most unique thing about the series in my opinion. I've never seen this kind of relationship dynamic before. Subscribe for more content, but for now, watch this next video. It's me, ComfyTea. I'll see you all in the next one.